What is a game without the ability to collect things? In this video, we'll add pickups, otherwise known as coins, to our Roller Madness game. Our objectives will be to set up the coin game object, populate the game with coins, and discuss the concept of tagging game objects. To create our coin, once again, we're going to use the prototyping standard assets. So under prototyping, there's actually a prefab called pickup. But one thing I noticed, and I think this is a bug with the standard assets, is notice over here that there's no mesh attached, no mesh filter, no mesh attached. So I think for some reason this prefab got messed up. But that's okay. This gives us a good learning opportunity. So let me go under model and notice there's actually models for most of these prefabs. And one of those is the pickup prototype. So right here, we can see there's the model. It's sort of a coin. So we'll go ahead and use this model to create a new game object. So let me go ahead and just drag it over to my scene. This created a game object. I'm going to go ahead and rename it right away as coin. Let me click F. I am kind of in a top view. So let me switch that. So it gave it a transform. I can go ahead and reset that transform just to be at the origin of the world. And of course, it's kind of half cut in the world. So, holding my command key down, I could use the snap setting. This is the move up, 1 meter. And then let me move it, sort of away from my ball. But I'll keep it kind of close because we're going to, test with it for a little bit. Right now, the coin's a little bit big compared to the size of my ball, so I'm going to go ahead and scale it down. So I'll scale it to 0.4 in X, Y, and Z directions. And I also want to change the material because I don't like the pink color on my coin. So let me go ahead and select the material. You can see it's in the prototyping material. So just like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that and give it a new name. I'll call it my coin material and drag it up into my materials. And then go ahead and apply that. So right now you're not going to see any change because it's the exact same thing, just a copy of it. And let's go ahead and change the texture that's applied to the albedo. There actually is a swatch yellow. So let me go ahead and drag that rather than the pink one. And that's instantly applied. So now it looks much more like a coin. So let's look at a couple of the other components on the coin. There aren't many because we created this from the material. So one thing that we want to do is we want the coin to collide, or we want the ball to collide with the coin. So right now there is no collider component on this. So let me go ahead and add that. So I can say add component. Colliders are part of physics, so let me select physics. And I want to use a sphere collider. So the coin shape is not actually a sphere, but I want to collide sort of in the area around the coin. So let me select that sphere collider. I could tap F to zoom in. And we could kind of see that sphere around the coin. Once again, colliders, you can change their size, so I can make it slightly bigger, just so you have to be kind of just close to the coin for this collision to happen. I also want this to be a trigger because I want you to not bounce off the coin. I want you to be able to go through the coin. So I actually want the coin to also rotate. I could sort of simulate that by going up to the y-axis and, kind of clicking and dragging. You can see the sort of rotation effect there. I'll undo that to go back to 0. I actually have a script that I've provided that creates this rotation. So I'm going to click Add Component, go down to Scripts, and choose the Rotate script. You can see the options here. There's a speed setting. This is how many degrees per second. I'm going to change this to 180 degrees per second. So it'd be sort of half of a whole circle in 1 second. And then you pick which direction you want to rotate. So I want to rotate around the y-axis. So let me go ahead and play this. So you can see the coin spins. So another thing that I want to do is actually add a rigid body. So this isn't going to have gravity on it, but because it's a moving object with a collider, you always want to have a rigid body on those so the physics system knows that this is a dynamic object in the world. So let me go ahead and click Add Component, go down to Physics, and choose rigid body, the top option. Now, once again, we're not going to have this fall at this point, so we're going to turn off use gravity. And this is actually being driven by this rotate script, which just rotates the transform. So we're not applying forces to this. or torque, we're just rotating it. So I'm going to make this is kinematic. So the last thing that we want to do in terms of setting up our coin is to add another script to let the game know that this is a pickup. This is treasure. So under add component, under scripts, we've got a script called treasure. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. You can see the components added. It's got a value. I'm going to set it as a value of 1. So I'm going to have just a direct 1 coin equals 1. So I do that. Let me go ahead and play. And I can move my ball over there, and boom, I picked up the coin. It disappeared. So what's actually happening? This treasure script basically looks to see if the object that collided with it is the player. And if it's the player, then it destroys itself. So how does it know that the object that collided with it was the player? Let me go to the roller ball, and notice there's a tag at the top, and it's tagged as player. So basically that script on the coin looks at the tag of the game object that ran into it, and if it's tagged as player, then it does the appropriate things. So tagging is a very powerful way. Once we get into scripting, you'll see this. It's great to tag your objects. Then through code, you can actually respond to things based on their tag. You can also, of course, respond to things based on their name, but sometimes there's more generic things. So rollerball is very specific, where player is a much more generic name. So for example, under coin, let's say we wanted to tag this. So right now the coin is untagged. Let's make a new tag. So I can click add tag, and this goes over to this tags and layers editor. Right now there are no tags. There's just the default ones that we saw before. So let me click plus and give it a new name, and I'll call this a pickup, which is maybe a more generic name than coin. So I created it. Now I have to go back to the coin and actually tag it. So by creating it, it added that to the pop-up list. And let me go ahead and select this as a pickup tag. So now our coin is basically all set up. We're going to have multiple coins in the world. So let's make this into a prefab. So let me drag it over into my prefabs folder, and once again, close up some folders here just to make it a little bit cleaner. And let's go ahead and drag out a few coins. Just for sake of example, let's go ahead and maybe bring out kind of a 4 coin pattern around my player. And of course, we can look at their transforms and make sure they're positioned properly. So my original coin was exactly 1 meter off. So I could go ahead and set these exactly to 1 meter. And they're off by a little bit. So if I really want to be precise, I could select all of them and bring up the snap settings, and then say snap all axes, and they'll snap right to the whole numbers. So the final thing that we can do is clean up our hierarchy a little bit. We've have several coins in here now, so this is a good opportunity to create another empty game object. So let me go create empty under the hierarchy. Go ahead and label this coins. Once again, I want to set this at the origin of the world, so let me go ahead and reset the transform of this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of my coins and put them into that coins empty game object. So now they're all organized there under coins. So let's go ahead and play and pick up our coins. In the next video, we'll add a display for the number of coins collected, as well as add a game over screen.